What's the difference between these two people? Same room, same conversation, completely different experience. Today we're tackling the mathematics of awkwardness. Yes, there's actually an equation to this, and once you understand it, you'll never see social interactions the same way again. This simple equation explains why some of the most common advice about social awkwardness completely backfires, and why the harder you try not to be awkward, the more awkward you become. Let's break it down. Let me start with a quick experiment. I'm walking normally right now. Nothing awkward about it. Now I'm going to be super aware of how I'm walking. I'll lift my right foot, bend my knee slightly, move my foot forward, place my heel down first, roll through to my toes. See what happened? The exact same activity became awkward simply because I directed my attention inward. This is what I call the spotlight effect. When you're in a social situation feeling awkward, it's like you're on stage with a spotlight following your every move. You're hyper-analyzing. Am I talking too much? Not enough? Is this story boring? Should I laugh at that joke? But here's the paradox. That spotlight only exists in your mind. No one else sees it. And the more you focus on it, the brighter it gets. This creates what psychologists call a cognitive loop. Your attention gets trapped in a cycle. Feel awkward? Worry about feeling awkward. Focus more on yourself, feel even more awkward, and repeat. But what would happen if we could redirect that spotlight? Really? What happened next? That's fascinating. Did you notice anything about me just now? Was I awkward? Probably not, because my attention was genuinely external. I was actually curious about what the other person was saying. The equation works both ways. When external awareness goes up, awkwardness goes down. It's not about techniques or scripts or perfect social skills. It's about where your attention is focused. But that doesn't mean it has to be scary. With the right support, you can face it with confidence and calm. Take the first step today. Try Anxiovita and see the difference it can make. Think about when you're least awkward in life. Maybe it's when you're deeply engaged in a hobby you love, talking about a subject you're passionate about, in an emergency situation where action is required, or helping someone with a problem. What do all these situations have in common? Your attention is outside yourself. You're focused on something external. This is why just be yourself is simultaneously the best and worst advice ever given. When you're naturally engaged, you are yourself without trying. But the moment you try to be yourself, you've already failed because now your attention is on yourself. Now let's talk about the practical side of joining conversations. When conversations flow, they're like a dance. And just like dancing, there are signals and cues that help everyone coordinate. A simple hand gesture like this signals I'd like to speak. It works because it's external and visible. It doesn't require you to interrupt or feel awkward about jumping in. Or a verbal bridge like, that reminds me. Or can I add something here? These are conversational transitions that acknowledge the other person while creating space for you. And when you and someone else start speaking at the same time, don't retreat into awkwardness. Instead, try this. So yesterday I was thinking, oh, go ahead. No, you were first. What were you saying? See how they externalized the awkwardness? They acknowledged it, dealt with it briefly, and moved on. The key is making it a shared moment rather than an internal crisis. Now let's explore something rarely discussed, the anxiety obliviousness spectrum. Socially anxious people are hyper-aware. They notice every subtle cue, expression change, and potential misstep. Meanwhile, socially oblivious people are under-aware. They don't pick up on signals that they're talking too much or that others want to speak. Here's the revelation. Your social anxiety isn't always about you. It's often the natural result of interacting with someone on the opposite end of this spectrum. If you grew up with family members who were socially oblivious, who interrupted, dominated conversations, or didn't create space for you to speak, you likely developed hypervigilance as a coping mechanism. This brings us to an important point. Social interactions involve at least two people. If you're struggling, it might not be because you're doing something wrong. It might be because you're caught in a mismatch. Two anxious people might struggle with silence. Two oblivious people might talk over each other constantly. An anxious person with an oblivious person often feels unheard and overwhelmed. But an anxious person with a socially aware person, that can be a wonderful match because the aware person creates space and safety. So how do we actually recalibrate our attention equation? First, practice external focus in low-stress situations. When you're walking down the street, notice 5 specific things around you. When you're eating, focus on the flavors and textures. Train your brain to be externally oriented. Second, adopt the curious observer mindset. In social situations, be genuinely interested in learning about others. Ask questions you actually want to know the answers to. Curiosity naturally pulls your attention outward. Third, create pattern interrupts when you feel yourself spiraling into self-awareness. This could be taking a deep breath, focusing on your feet, touching the ground, asking the other person a question, or even just naming what's happening. I notice I'm in my head right now. And finally, be compassionate with yourself. Awkwardness isn't a character flaw, it's simply a state created by misplaced attention. The more you judge yourself for it, the more you reinforce internal focus. Let's revisit our equation one last time. Awkwardness, internal attention, external. When you feel awkward, don't try to fix yourself. Instead, shift your attention. The beauty of this approach is that it works immediately. The moment your attention moves outward, awkwardness begins to dissolve. Remember, everyone feels awkward sometimes. It's part of being human in a complex social world. But by understanding the attention equation, you now have the power to transform those moments rather than being trapped by them. In the comments, I'd love to hear about your experiences with shifting attention. What helps you stay externally focused in social situations? Do you ever find yourself lying awake at night, worrying about things that haven't even happened yet? Worrying about the future is something we all do, but it doesn't have to control your life. The truth is, most of the things we worry about never actually happen. Yet, the stress and anxiety they create can feel all too real. That's where Anxiovita comes in. Anxiovita is a natural health product designed to help ease the symptoms of anxiety. Made by RubyMed, these liquid drops are easy to use and can be incorporated into your daily routine. Whether you're dealing with occasional worry or persistent anxiety, Anxiovita can provide the support you need to stay calm and focused. But here's the thing. Anxiovita isn't just about managing symptoms. It's about giving you the space to breathe, to think clearly, and to take control of your thoughts. When you're not overwhelmed by worry, you can start to see the future not as something to fear, but as something full of possibilities. So, if you're tired of losing sleep over things that haven't happened yet, it's time to try something new. Anxiovita can help you break free from the cycle of worry and embrace the present moment. Remember, the future is uncertain, but that doesn't mean it has to be scary. With the right support, you can face it with confidence and calm. Take the first step today. Try Anxiovita and see the difference it can make.